I've been looking ahead a bit recently to the winter, and I have to confess I'm worried. I am worried because every indication suggests that the cost of living in our country is going to go up, and this is going to have a huge impact on us all. In the Mercer household, it probably means that we'll be able to afford a few less takeaways, which will probably be good for my waistline anyway. But for many, the cost of food and of energy is going to mean a choice between feeding themselves and being warm. A choice that no one should have to make. To be completely frank, this disgusts me. The biggest energy firms are posting profits of billions of pounds already this year, paying millions to shareholders whilst the poorest in our society struggle. The gap between the richest and poorest in our nation is one of the largest in developed countries, and it continues to get wider. There has been a run on the most expensive champagne in pubs and bars in London. The wealthiest seem to be wealthier than ever, and those making decisions seem further and further removed from those who are most impacted. This is certainly not the way God intends the world to work. God's people, the Israelites, were supposed to show the world what God's kingdom was like, what a nation ruled by God would be like. And to help them do this, he gave them the law. And if you've ever trawled your way through all the rules in the book of Leviticus, you may have come across this passage in Leviticus 25 that talks about the year of Jubilee. In the Jubilee year, once every 50 years, all the land that had been sold reverted to its original owners. Israelites who had gone to work as servants or slaves for others in order to pay their debts were released. Financial settlements were resolved. Essentially, there was this huge economical, financial reset every 50 years. No one would be able to hoard wealth or land and get richer and richer and richer from it. No one would be able to fall into generations of poverty. Economical inequality would not be allowed to go unchecked. And in amongst those rules are provisions for those who have found themselves in poverty. The most needy in society are cared for. As God's people, I think it is part of our duty to stand up for a society that embraces these principles, for justice, to call out our leaders when the poor are allowed to become poorer even as the rich prosper. I'd encourage you to do what you can. Write to your MP, write to the Chancellor, stand up, be counted, vote accordingly when it becomes time to vote. And the other side of our duty is to do what we can to support those who are most in need. I'm going to be having conversations with church leaders in our area about establishing warmth banks, places people can come each day to stay warm when they cannot afford to have their heating on. As a CLT, we've been having conversations about how to best support those in our church family and in our community who will be in financial need this winter. And as we think about those things, I would encourage you to think about whether you are able to give a little more in order to support those who have less. As God's people, we should be speaking out against injustice and doing what we can to help those who suffer from it. I wonder what you can do. I wonder what ideas you might have for us as a church, what things we can do. Go away and pray about it. Talk about it. Talk to me about it. It's something that's really been on my heart recently, and I'm sure it's on God's heart too.